Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're here for the first time. My name is Angela and I find my paradise through reading. Right now I'm going to do my February 2024 wrap up. Okay, these are the books that I read during the month of February. And I feel like I did half and half. I did some kind of like self motivation, self help, inspirational kind of books, but I also did a lot of fun reading this month. So let me do the inspirational kind of self development kind of books first. Okay, so the first one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Look at this version. Isn't it gorgeous? It's a little hardcover. I just love the pages. It's got just wonderful pages. They're nice and thick. The letter spacing, everything about this book I really, really love. Such a pleasure to read. And it's also, I think it's free. This is a reread. The first time I experienced this book, I listened to it on YouTube. They had like a free version. So you kind of have to listen to the ads in between, but I was able to listen to the whole book on YouTube and it was awesome. And that's what inspired me to buy the book, because I knew that I was going to reread and I wanted to highlight and annotate it. So this is, I think, my third or fourth time reading this book, and it's awesome. It's a lot about mindset, a lot about controlling your mind, your thoughts, what you're attracting, your vibration, just all of that. And it's not, even though it says think and grow rich, this is applicable to everything in life. And so this really helps me. It's a solid reminder in some things, even like with my booktube, for example. Sometimes you get frustrated or disappointed, or you just don't feel like doing it or whatever. And this kind of helps you like with that stick-to-itiveness, just keep going and be positive and step in faith and believe in what you're doing and what you're sharing, and that you're, helping people, and you're making a difference somehow. It's just amazing. So this can be applicable to all kinds, all parts of life, let's just say. And there's amazing stories. It's such an easy read, and I love it so much. And yeah, I will continue reading this over and over and over again. So worth it, so worth it. This and one other book here that I'm going to show you are the two number one books that I recommend for self-development. Okay. The next one is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I know I've talked about this book before, and I will continue to talk about it. I went through this twice now in a very short period of time. And this is a lot about how to communicate and interact with people in a positive way that doesn't make them like defensive or miscommunication, or just this has so much. And it's not just about success or manipulation, anything like that. It's nothing at all about manipulation, but just a way to talk to people in a way that they can respond to, and you'll get the outcome that you want. And it goes for anything, your spouse, your kids, your colleagues, co-workers, subordinates, your landlord. Just, there's so many amazing, amazing true life examples. A very easy read, this number one. These two, if you're going to read any self-development books ever, these are the two that I recommend, like hands down, no matter what. And they're applicable to anybody and everybody. These, I feel like, should be mandatory reading in high school, college, all throughout life. I mean, these make a huge difference. Love it. And so I'm not sure if I said this, but this is by Dale Carnegie. Think and Grow Rich is by Napoleon Hill. And because this book was so freaking amazing, I wanted to read another one of his books. And so I read The Law of Success. It's kind of shiny, so it's like, but this kind of has, it's almost, I would almost say like a shorter version of this, but this has a wealth of information. Another good, solid, easy to read, a lot of very applicable points that you can use. Just, it was amazing. The other one, Think and Grow Rich, is still like number one. But again, if you like the Think and Grow Rich, this was amazing. It was a little bit of a shorter read. This one was only 247 pages. Let me see this one. I'm just curious. Like 370. But excellent. Love it. And then I read Do It Anyway, Girl by Michelle Cunningham. Okay, I am a Mary Kay beauty consultant. I have been for 5 years now. And so I read this book, which I've been meaning to read for some time, and it was a lot of fun. So it's about Michelle, how she got into like Mary Kay and the struggles that she experienced, and how everything that she did just kind of, how she got to where she ended up being extremely successful. And I just loved it because there's so many disappointments in this business, in any business. So this is very applicable to, because she doesn't even tell you in this book that Mary Kay was the business that she was doing. But just with any business, this is all about how to deal with failures and setbacks and the stick-to-itiveness, and how building momentum, and just taking things step by step. And it's just amazing. It was such a fun story. I read this in like maybe a day and a half. I just couldn't put it down. I really enjoyed this book. Absolutely. I think for any entrepreneur, especially if you're in network marketing, I think this is a great book to read, and it's so fun. She did a great job. I think she ended up getting out of Mary Kay because she was super successful and really high up, but she was getting so much attention with just her teaching and her tips, and so she ended up branching off and starting her own business and helping people be successful and writing and things like that. So it's amazing. Oh my gosh, I loved her story. Loved it. So those were the 4 self-development books that I read this month. And that's more than usual, and I just think that during the month of February, I really needed some more inspiration and more like a reminder, to keep going, and a reminder. It's all about my mindset in not just like my business, but in everything else I'm doing. So I just loved it. And it was just like such a refresher for me, and yes. And during the month of March, I am reading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie again. So I feel like I want to make it a habit almost to like read or listen to the book every month, between that and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Those are 2 books that I feel like I just want to every month dip into those books, because it never gets old. And it's just a very great reminder and just continually inspiring me. Okay. So let's get into some of my fun enjoyment reads, I guess you could say, even though I think they were fun and enjoyable themselves. All right. Okay. So let's start off with this one. This is The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. Marjan. Okay. Look at how gorgeous this book is. Can you even like appreciate how gorgeous? It's like the gold, and if you can see, oh my gosh, there's like a couple there. And this is like background, I believe it was like Iran. Iran. I'm not sure how best to pronounce it. Deckled Edges, look at that. I got this book from the thrift store not too long ago. It was one of my book hauls, and I finally got to read it because I was like, I hope this story is as beautiful as this book, and it was. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. This is following Roya. She is maybe 16, 17 years old, I forget. You know, a young girl in Iran. And this was in a time of political upheaval and turmoil. They wanted democracy. There were some people that wanted dictatorship, and there was just a lot of like clashing going on. She falls in love. They're going to get married. All of this stuff. So a lot of things happen. I can't even say. But then it kind of, this is a book that goes like back in time, and then there's the present. So in the present, it's like 2000, maybe 2013. She is really old now. And the boy that she was supposed to marry was supposed to meet her at the square on the day, and they were going to go off and get married. And he didn't show up. And then when she was at the square waiting for him, there was this mob, these protesters, people, there was shots rang out. So all this stuff happened, and like she never saw him, and she never saw him again. And then you're talking fast forward like so many years later. Now she's in the United States. She's an old lady, and she finds out he's like in the nursing home. And so she goes to speak with him because she wants to know, where were you and why didn't you show up? And this book, and it's called The Stationery Shop because that's where they met. They met in a stationery shop, which had like a very significant role in this story between their love story and the political situation that was happening. Highly recommend. I love books like this that teach you a lot about another culture and some history. And this was just, and it just grips you and it tears at your heart. And yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Absolutely recommend. This was a great read. Okay. The next one, this was such a good reading month. It really was. The next one was The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. And this is more of a short story. I did not know that this was a short story. This is only, I think it was like 17 pages long. I think it's 15. Yeah, this is 15 pages long. Okay, so this is a short story. And this is about this woman who, I guess she isn't right. I'm very confused by this, and I feel like I have to read it again because apparently she's dealing with maybe some type of mental illness, and then her husband takes her to this house way out somewhere, I don't know, to get some rest, fresh air, I don't know what. And it's just really weird that like they're not listening to her. The people in the house, I think, is her husband and like the servant lady, I think maybe. And everyone just keeps ignoring what she's telling them. And it almost seemed like, I was wondering if they were setting her up to be crazy. Like, were they giving her, I think they were giving her pills or something, and like not letting her do certain things. And I just don't know. It was just really, really weird. But basically there's this room in the house. It has this hideous wallpaper, like this cover, I guess. Hideous yellow wallpaper drives her nuts. And she's like picking away at this wallpaper. And then after a while, she starts thinking like there's someone beneath this wallpaper that she's trying to set free or whatever. It's a really bizarre story. I found it very interesting. Like, she just, by the end of the story, she's completely nuts. She is completely nuts. And I just like, I don't know what it's trying to say. Like, was something wrong with her? Was something wrong with her family? Was something wrong with both of them? Was she really mentally ill? And it was so frowned upon back then that the best thing they could do was like go somewhere far away and hope that it fixed itself. Maybe they didn't take her seriously, or was there, I don't know. It was just so weird, and I just really didn't know what to make of it. So let me know if you've read this book and what you think this is really about, because I found it really strange, very unsettling, and maybe that's the whole point of the story. I'm frustrated for her, and I'm like, guys, like, help her, do something, like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do, and maybe that's the point. I just realized that, but maybe that's what it is, just to disturb you as a reader. And I don't know, but I'm glad I read it. So then we have Zom 100 volumes 2 and 3. Okay, this is manga, and this is following this fellow here. There's a zombie apocalypse. He's so excited that there's a zombie apocalypse happening because he doesn't have to work. All right. And so he has this bucket list of things that he would like to do before he potentially becomes a zombie. So that's what this is about, his adventures and him connecting with other survivors. And yeah, it's just really, it's a lot of fun. Though I can say they can do without the female nudity and the grossness. It's just, I don't feel like it really adds anything to this manga. The story alone is fun, but you just don't need the nudity and the sexual, pieces of this book. It's just not really adding to it. But it is fun to see him just making the best of a horrible situation and trying to just follow his dreams and do the things that he's always wanted to do. And, bringing people together. It's just amazing. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I will continue with the series and see how long I'll stick with it. We'll see. And last, but certainly not least, I finished The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I'm not going to say a whole lot about this because I talked about this enough in my last video, which was just dedicated just to this book, because this is now in my top 5 favorites of all time. Amazing, amazing book. This was like 1,076 pages, I think it was. And it could have been longer and I would have been fine with it, honestly. And the main character, not Alexandre Dumas, that's the author, Edmond Dantes, who calls himself the Count of Monte Cristo. Major crushing on him. He is out for revenge and he was savage. I wasn't mad about it. I was there for it, and it was such a good time. This book was awesome. It was awesome. I will be reading this again and again and again. But absolutely highly recommend. But that's about all I'm going to say about this one. If you want to know more about this amazing story, you can watch the video that I did. Was it last week? It wasn't too long ago, but probably the video before this one. But those are the books that I read in February. It was a good time. It was a great reading month. I'm very pleased with it. March, I'm not sure what that's going to be looking like completely. I am so in the air about everything that I want to read. There's just so many books that I want to read, and it's hard. I'm having such a hard time choosing because I don't know what I'm really in the mood for. But I will tell you that I am currently reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. That's been on my TBR. I think I had it on my January and my February TBR, and I hadn't gotten to it. So I know that's on my March TBR. There is Layla, Colleen Hoover. yeah, the book Layla by Colleen Hoover. That's on my March TBR. And I only have it there because my colleague lent it to me like back in November and I still haven't gotten around to it. So I just want to get to it so I can give it back to her. And then there is the Blackwater series. I forget who the author is, but that's going to be my big book of the month. Do I have it right here? Oh, yes, I do. Look at this. Wow. Okay. So this is actually, I think, 6 books. And this is the omnibus version. So what I want to do is read 3 books during the month of March, and then the other 3 books in April. So this is going to be my big tome for March and April. Let me see. I think this is like multi-generational kind of book. I think there's just like a lot of spookiness going on. Let's see. On Easter morning, 1919, Oscar Kasky and his servant Bray slowly row a small boat through flood-swept Perdido, Alabama. As they pass the supposedly empty Osceola Hotel, Oscar glimpses a woman in a second-floor bedroom. She is tall, thin, pale, and beautiful, and her name is Eleanor Dammer. She claims to have slept through the hotel's evacuation 4 days earlier. But the flood's high water mark shows on the wall 6 feet above her bed. No human being could have survived the Perdido flood in that room. So begins the saga of a small town and the stranger who enters it. A woman who, on the surface, is gracious, charming, anxious to belong in Perdido and eager to marry Oscar Kasky, the eldest son of Perdido's first family, but whose hidden life carries her slender white body deep beneath the waters of the Perdido River. There she takes on her other self, a creature whispered about in stories that have chilled the residents of Perdido for generations. Oh boy, spooky. Some of those who observe her rituals in the river will never be seen again. Oh. So this sounds like a good time. You guys know how nervous I get about creepy things. But this was recommended to me by a very dear friend of mine. And so I'm going to read it and hopefully not get nightmares. But this sounds interesting. Oh, look at her. I mean, definitely just a cover. Like she's in this water. You see this like alligator or crocodile, whatever they have in Alabama. You see the flood waters, and maybe that's the hotel. She kind of looks ghostly in a way. Definitely something not right there. And there they are. So I'll let you know how this goes. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. And happy reading. Let me know what you've been reading, what you plan to read in March, what you think of the books that I read in February. Let me know what your thoughts are. Always happy to chat. Talk to you soon. Bye.